This episode of Love Lauren is sponsored by Scott Bonnar Fabrication and Parts.
We're back with the rear roller, and there are two bearing cases. Again, the adjustable casing, one of the two elongated slots, goes on the side opposite the chains, and the three fixed slots, three fixed holes, go on the same side as the chains. I'm just going to pop that roller up on the blocks so that the shaft isn't contacting the ground, and we'll get our bearing casing in place. So in this case we're going the bare metal of the inside of the bearing to the bare metal of the shaft, so it's a little bit of a tight fit once again. So I'm going to pop a little bit of grease around that shaft, just to make life a tiny bit easier. So I'll line that up and give it a few whacks to get it all the way home, hopefully. That's going to go now. That's in place. I think I'll grab a little socket and just knock that down a tiny little bit more. So I'm just going to go easy. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that end of that shaft has just come through a tiny bit more. I'm not sure if there's much more to go with. So we're going to interfere with the chassis anyway, so I think that's probably sufficient. So with that in place, I can flip her over. So again, this bearing has a little bit longer to go down that shaft. Get a bit of grease on there, like we do. In this case a lot. The tolerances are proving very tight on this particular machine, so that's a good thing, but I do want to get this machine back together. So, so, now we've got a bit of a challenge here because obviously the shaft is already poking out the end of that bearing, and the socket that I've got isn't that long. I'm going to start with the socket. And move over to our block of wood. It's looking pretty good. I can see the slot for our drift key with movement there. It could be a little bit tighter on there. Not sure if it's all the way home, but it feels like it's gone pretty far. With this block of wood, I'm just trying to bear on both the inner and outer sections of this bearing. Yeah, it feels like that's sort of all the way home, and it's spinning. The bearing is moving as it should. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad either. I'm ready to get this rear roller assembly into the frame of the mower now. This is the 14-inch. When I did the 17, the approach I took was to sort of feed this thing in through that axle and then over. I'm just not quite clearing it on this machine for some reason, so I think what I'm going to do, because I can, because it's the solid deck, and just take this side off for a moment, pop the rear roller assembly in there and then bolt it back together. I think that's going to be the easiest approach. It's about 32 degrees or something today and it's sticky here, so simple sounds good. I don't know if it would be making any difference really, but with the 17-inch I didn't have the sole plate in place when I put this, when I put the rear roller back in the frame. Obviously the twin rail 17's welded, it doesn't come apart, so yeah, maybe it's just that extra bit of length that I had that made it a bit easier to pivot everything together. I don't know. What I do know is that it will fit, so if I pick this frame up I can get that those two bearing cases on either side within the confines of this frame as it's bolted up now. Got the bolts out of the sole plate and the one bolt out of the front of the top of the deck. Everything's loosened off now, so I'm hoping this isn't going to get too squirrely. Feels like that top deck's going to support itself for a sec. Get our tools out of the way. Get that into position, and I think before I fool around anymore, I'm just going to get that the side back on. Just feeding that in over that shaft, because I don't want to risk bending anything that shouldn't be bent. Got that back together now. Bit of fooling around, but it's done. I'll get those bearing cases screwed in now. You can see the fit is just how I want it. Just lined up the holes of the casing on this side with the holes in the chassis, and we'll get our bolts and nuts and washers in there next. So nothing too obscene going on this side. Basically we've got a bolt, split washer and a nut. They're going to go through each of these fixed holes. And the washer and the nut are going to go on the inside. Just start feeding those through. The holes in the chassis side are a little bit thick with powder coat, so just need to sort of cut through that with the thread of the bolt a little bit, and so get most of the way in there. And last. Just get those pushed in there as far as I can, and then I guess what I'm going to do is just try to reach around from the inside to get those washers and nuts on. So a little bit fiddly. Gloves off for this one, I think. And just sort of, trying to help myself out as much as possible, kind of working blindly here a bit. Just using the pliers because they're sort of narrow enough to fit in there. Challenge is just getting that the end of that bolt square to the nut so I can grab on the thread. And it just doesn't want to go. Might have it finally. there. Get rid of that. These are all 1/2-inch bolts, so they're sort of a common size on either end at least, so it kind of makes it handy. Alright, that's done up nice and tight on that one for now. I'll check the rest of them once I get the other side and flip that up out of the way if we need to gain access. And I'm not doing anything fancy here apart from losing things, and just basically screwing this back together. Alright, so I've just flipped the machine around. Got our 2 bolts in that side. The way I've lined this up, I've got the fixed bolt hole facing forward and the 2 slotted holes facing to the rear of the machine. I'll just start that one through, but all these are loose. You can see the rollers, you probably can't see, the roller's sitting on the ground on the wood here, but the frame can basically move up and down in those slotted holes, and the aim is that you can adjust the angle of the rear roller in relation to the sole plate so that you're getting an even cut essentially. So I'll get some more hardware here. In this case we've got a flat washer, a split washer, and the bolt to go on here. So the extra flat washer in this case compared to the other side. Why is it different? No idea. Flat washer on first, and the split washer, and a bolt. Sorry, a nut. I'll just spin that home. I'm not going to worry about the setup of this rear roller just yet. I'll get the rest of the machine together and then sort that out. So I'll snug those up just so they don't wander off, but we'll come back and go through the setup in another episode. There's a jig that you can use to get these done, to get the setup spot on. So that's our rear roller installed. It rolls. The 2 halves move independently of one another, as they should, as being split halves. And presumably the Pawls are working as they should in there as well, but we'll need to test that out once we've got our clutch in place and all that.